Hello, good afternoon. I am gonna make some coffee and then we're gonna talk about overspending and how to reset when we overspend. Let me go get the coffee set up and I'll see you on the couch. Compost. Let's go to the couch. Like I said, today we're talking about how to reset your overspending. Okay, so just to add some context behind this, I keep talking about this Euro trip that we took, and I will be sharing a breakdown of all of those costs in a upcoming video. I want to talk about what happened when we came back and we were like, oh my goodness, we spent a lot more than we expected. How do we reset? How do you reset any overspending when you just are having a mega spending hangover? So in order to really come back from that trip and be like, we want to get our ish together because we have a goal to move out of the basement and move on with our lives, just living the two of us, we needed to do some things differently. And I definitely wanted to just kind of reset and be like, okay, how do I improve on this last month where I just feel like I was spending. And although this might not have been a trip for you, I know we're just coming off of the holiday season. And for a lot of people who, want to give gifts and do all of the quote unquote Christmas marketing stuff, it does come with some spending. So if that's where you're having a hangover right now and you're just like, okay, I need to come back from last holiday season and start 2023 off on a good note, then this video is for you. I'm gonna walk through some of the things that I did when I came back from Europe to reset my spending, to start from scratch. First thing to do is reflect on what triggers your spending. Think about it. For me, I knew that trip was entirely a trigger. I was not in my environment. I was in travel mode. And so coming back, I needed to say, okay, what do I know about myself and how I am that's gonna make me more likely to spend money? Understand your triggers, know what kind of environment makes you spend more, understand if there are certain time of days or days that you're more likely to spend. For instance, when I wasn't traveling and I came back, I was like, I know Monday through Friday, I'm gonna be good. But come Friday, 5 o'clock, I'm going to wanna get, dinner. I'm gonna wanna go out. I wanna go into the city. I'll do whatever to just like kind of sadly escape the week of working. Knowing and understanding that that's how you function, you can put things in place to make sure that that's not what happens. Ari and I actually did this last week. We know that like come the weekend, we're like, all right, we're gonna do whatever we want. And instead we were like, why don't we just have a Wednesday date night and just go to trivia in the middle of the week? So it doesn't feel like when Friday rolls around, we need to let loose. And so that's one of our triggers that we kind of worked around, knowing the timing when you're more likely to spend. I also said environment, and that is, our example was we were living at home when we came back from Europe. And so it was very likely that we couldn't go into the city on a weeknight or do something on a weeknight in the city. So we had to kind of like wait until the weekends. But what helped us was that we were at home. We were in a basement. We were like, our environment was having things around us that was actually very free to do. We could just go walk outside for free, and it was a scenic like reservation walk, So know what environment puts you in a spending mood. For us, being at home, we're less likely to spend because there's more free things for us to do back then. Now, of course, it's still very much the same environment. If I stay at home, more likely to cook something, but even just stepping outside, I wanna go to a coffee shop. I wanna like go and check out stores. So understanding what kind of environments you need to be in. But another aspect of this is your mood, right? Like how are you feeling about certain things? That and your environment and the time of day, like, or day of the week, all go hand in hand. So really understanding your triggers. Know what triggers you. Depending on certain moods, I'm more likely to try to shop online. Like if I'm feeling some type of way, if I know I have a trip coming up, I'm gonna be like, oh, well, I wanna look nice. Let me see if I should buy more clothes. So understand what those triggers are for you and put things in place to stop you. I'm gonna walk through some of those things that you can put in place to make sure that like you kind of navigate through those triggers, because of course they're always going to be triggers, but it's just about how to shift them. Number 2, the second thing that I did, and I also did this in Europe, but it was a lot harder and trickier to do it when I was traveling, but it was tracking every single dollar, tracking your spending. I started tracking my spending back in 2017 when I started my money journey, but since getting better and like paying myself first and kind of working through all that, I've been tracking less and less. And when we went to Europe, I was like, I want to start tracking again because I want to be able to say like how much I spent on this trip. But of course, while I was there, it was a mix of Ari using his card, us using our combined card, us using cash, and it just became a little trickier to track. So although we did track mostly everything we spent when we were there, it was just a harder process of actually putting it on a spreadsheet. So when we came home, I was like, I am gonna track every dollar like I did way back when. Track everything because it helps you understand what the triggers might be, what, you know, when you're more likely to spend money, and what you're spending it on, so you can do a appropriate audit later that month. So track everything. I'm actually gonna put in my expense tracker in the description if you wanna get a copy of the one that I use. Number 3 is know what your wants and your needs are. Understand the difference between those, right? Like we know our needs are the things that we need. I hate using the word in the definition, but a need is basically something you can't go without. Paying rent, paying your water bill, whatever it is, needs. Wants are those like things that make you happy, but aren't necessities. I do believe that your life should be a mix of, yes, your needs, but also your wants. You don't wanna live a life of deprivation for years because you're trying to X, Y, and Z. And even in times when you're trying to reset on your spending, it is important that like, you're not just like dropping something cold turkey. Like if it's a want that you've had there consistently and it's something that makes you happy, like include it, but also be very honest about what other wants don't need to be in there because you are trying to reset. And if you continue to spend the way you were spending when you were in this overspending phase, then there's not really going to be much improvement there. So how do we actually stop the spending? The thing I did when we came back from Europe was not use my credit cards. I have always paid them off in full every month, but even still, like I told myself, let's use the debit card. And people say there's like a psychology around using plastic versus cash. I have never just been like a cash person. A lot of the things that I buy are like online and I just never carry around cash. So for me, it wasn't no credit cards or debit cards and cash. For me, it was no credit card, use your debit card. I am though thinking about doing a cash month challenge. So if you're interested in seeing that, let me know in the comments because I'm like, that could be fun to like test myself and see how I do if I was like trying to use cash envelopes. But anyway, I'm getting sidetracked. I said no more credit card. Let's use my debit card and the money that's in my debit card. Let's always open it up and see how much is there. Because when I go to use my credit card, even if I don't have that money in my checking account now, I'll be like, oh, okay, it's fine. Let's still swipe it. Let's still treat myself to it. So it's easier to spend the money if it's in a credit card versus your debit card where it's actually going to be deducted the day of. If you're somebody who uses your credit card or uses cash as well, maybe you'd want to just do full out, cut off the credit cards, cut off the debit cards and just use your cash. If you're somebody who never has cash, then just say, I'm gonna take a pause on using my credit cards until like I've paid that balance off and then we're gonna start again. In order to have the reset, you have to stop continuing to add to them. Number 5 is stop spending money. And that's easier, way easier said than done. But the thing why we kind of touch on the other ones first is because you want to understand what is a need. You're not going to stop spending money on that. What are the like need wants, the wants that are wants, but you still want them in your life and you don't want to kind of have to remove them for this reset period. Everything else is just like, doesn't need to happen, right? So when I got back, I was like, I need to reset on all of the money that we just spent. I'd rather do free friend activities. So if we have to do more game nights for the next 2 weeks, that's what we're gonna do. And I'll get to what made it easier in number 6. But for number 5, the way that you can stop the spending, and one of the little hacks that I have used in the past is if you are shopping online, if you are getting something that is a want, think about it a little longer. We're so quick to impulse buy. I am so guilty of doing this as well. We're like caught in the moment. Marketing is done so amazing these days. They know how to F's with our psychology. So take a pause, put it in your cart. I've done this many times. I've gone shopping and then never checked out. Put it in your cart, come back to it 2 days later. Does it still feel like something that you want? Want/need. Do you feel more passionately about the next point I'm going to talk about or whatever's in your cart? So that is like one of the biggest like hacks that I've done to kind of like stop the spending. And also another thing that you can do is just like be honest with the people around you. Say like, hey, for the next like 3 weeks, I'm just going to like reset my spending. I want to see like what things matter to me the most. And I'm gonna ask for your support in that we do free activities together, or that you don't just like not hang out with me because I'm not going out and spending money. When you bring people into what you're doing, it makes things easier. You wanna communicate why you're not doing something. And another part of this is you don't wanna just like stop your life because you're trying to reset. So stop the spending doesn't mean don't do anything and sit on your couch and just watch Netflix. It just means the things that you don't necessarily need, or the ones that don't actually unlock the wants for you, or the things that bring you joy in life. Do you really need them? And take a second to ask yourself that. Be intentional about how you're spending your money. The only way and reason that all of this works is because you have to understand why you're doing it. Why are you resetting your overspending? First of all, you know, overspending means you are spending more than you want to be spending, or, you know, than you can to meet other goals. So why is it that you want to get a hold of the spending that you just did for that period of time? For us, it was very clear. We wanted to move out. We wanted to have our own apartment. We wanted to start our life just us. And so that was like the why that made it so much easier for me to come back and be like, had an amazing time in Europe. Now I'm gonna get it together because I wanna have an apartment before my birthday. And guess what? I did get an apartment before my birthday. I actually got an apartment a month before my birthday. So I knew it was gonna require me doing some things a little differently, but it was worth it for me to save for the bigger thing that I wanted. So know your why. Know why it is that you're going through this reset process. Understand that like it's not forever. For us, my reset was all of the summer after we came back. Most of July and all of August, I was like, we are doing a spending cleanse. And that's what we did. And by September 15th, I had what I needed saved up to be able to find this apartment and say, we're gonna sign that lease. And it all happened so fast because we actually did see this apartment before September 15th. That was my initial goal. My initial goal was like, I wanna be able to move out by September 15th. We came to see this apartment. This was the one apartment that we saw, and it all just happened. So the reset helps. It helps you when you know why you're doing it. So have and set a goal in mind. It's gonna make things much easier. That is kind of like how you reset after a period of spending. I will say spending money is fine. Spending money is fine. That is why we have money. It's not about not spending money. It's just about being intentional with what we're spending our money on. That's a big caveat there, that this channel is not telling you you shouldn't spend any money and everything should go into savings and investing, but it's about understanding the things that you want in your life, changing your money habits or the things that you've been doing that aren't making it to the place where you're getting there. That is it for today's video. Let's reset our spending. If we just went through a big spending period, I feel good that like I haven't gone through a big spending period since Europe, because I think, yeah, Europe was a big what? And you'll see that video and find out exactly how much we spent. If you want to track your expenses, I have my money tracker in the description so you can get your own copy, and I will see you next time. Bye.